People are noticing some more skeletons in Sean Diddy Combs' closet from decades past. This on the cusp of possible pending criminal charges amid the mounting legal woes and sexual assault lawsuits against the rapper, record producer, and music executive. Combs has now been accused of threatening to kill a magazine editor nearly 30 years ago. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Before I get into this latest accusation regarding Sean Diddy Combs, I think I need to give you a little bit of context here. So up until recently, it's no secret how prominent Sean Combs has been in the music and entertainment space. He rose to fame from starting as an intern at a record label to over time building up this massive music empire in Bad Boy Records, rapping, producing, investing, launching the careers of major artists, building his own successful fashion line, earned countless Grammy Awards and other accolades.
Not only is he a rapper, not only is he a music mogul, this individual is a legend. I'm glad that I'm here to be able to share this with you, man. This is big, this is legendary, and they will never be able to take this away from you. And for the rest of your life, and for your kids and your family's life, and those to come, they can walk down the street and see where you laid ground, young man. Thank you.
And I say that because that prominence, that recognition, that power has been a recurring theme as of late, because Sean Combs hasn't made it big without a few pitfalls along the way, including run-ins with the law over the years. And one of the most well-known being the arrest of Combs, his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, and rapper Jamal Shine Barrow following a shooting at a now-shuttered nightclub in Times Square back in 1999.
How you doing? I'm just gonna make a statement, because I can't answer no question. I'm just gonna make a statement, all right? I came here today just to tell the truth, so hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that. Thank you very much.
While that case ended up in an acquittal for the rapper, his legal troubles continued, from physical assault allegations to accusations of sexual assault, and still the music mogul has kept the flame of fame going. But all of that has now come to a screeching halt with more recent claims and possibly imminent criminal charges. Because since November of last year, Combs was hit with several lawsuits alleging physical and sexual abuse, sex trafficking, illegal firearms or narcotics possession, and so forth. Most notably, the first lawsuit that started all of this was brought against him by R&B singer and Combs' ex, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, accusing Combs of subjecting her to beatings and rape throughout their years-long relationship, one incident being documented via hotel surveillance footage from 2016, which purportedly shows Combs attacking her in a hotel hallway. This was first published by CNN, after which Combs issued a now deleted response and apology online.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I'm so sorry.
And Combs' legal woes, they don't end there, because homes belonging to Sean Combs were swarmed by federal agents several months ago, Homeland Security agents raiding his multi-million-dollar mansion in Los Angeles, his Miami waterfront home. Now, not much is known about what authorities were specifically looking for, though they seemed to collect a lot of evidence, including electronic devices and phones. And Combs, is, to be clear, has not been charged in connection with these raids or in connection to a purported investigation, although it has been reported that a federal grand jury has been impaneled in New York, and Combs is the subject of the probe. There's been reporting that the feds are looking into human trafficking charges, and it has been speculated that Combs' accusers were expected to testify before the grand jury this year, a move which could indicate prosecutors are looking to charge him federally. But again, and to be clear, we just don't know. And despite his now cleared out Instagram account, including his apology video, Combs has denied every accusation against him, and no charges have been filed as of yet. Hey everybody, we'll get right back to the story in a minute, but before we do, I want to thank Upside for sponsoring this episode of Sidebar. So Upside is a free app that gets you cash back on daily essentials like gas, groceries, dining. Now, when I pump my gas, and yes, I pump my own gas, I don't have a valet over here, why not use the Upside app when I do? Why not get cash back when you fill up your tank, right? And yes, this is actual real cash back, no confusing rewards or points or credits, just actual money you can transfer straight to your bank account. So once you have the app, you claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside, you pay as usual using a debit or credit card, and then you follow the steps in the app and you get paid. Now, as you just saw me do, you can use Upside at places like Shell or Exxon or Mobil, 7-Eleven, Sunoco, restaurants like Chipotle, Papa John's, Dairy Queen, Domino's, KFC, Taco Bell. That's just to name a few, by the way. And to find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description to download Upside or scan the QR code on screen and use our promo code SIDEBAR and you'll get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's promo code SIDEBAR for an extra 25 cents back on your first gallon of gas. Now, I say all of that and I provide all of that background to you to talk about this latest allegation that Sean Combs allegedly threatened to kill former Vibe magazine editor Danyel Smith back in 1997. She says Combs told her that she would, quote, end up dead in the trunk of a car over a dispute regarding his cover story on the magazine known for chronicling black culture and black music. Well, the then editor-in-chief wrote this and more in a New York Times essay about Diddy and explains how the rap star was selected to be the cover star for the December 1997, January 1998 issue. This was following the death of Tupac and Biggie Smalls. And she details never before known secrets about Combs, including an account how after his cover photo shoot in Manhattan, which was set to be modeled after the 1978 film Heaven Can Wait, it would feature him on two covers wearing angel wings, with one angelic, the other with kind of a mischievous look. Well, a few days later, Combs apparently wanted to see the covers before going to press, but it wasn't the policy of the magazine to do such a thing. And after Smith told him no, she says there were rumors that he planned to force the magazine team to show him the prints. And as Smith points out, there was vague talk circling about Combs' other alleged criminal escapades, a possible beating at the bad boy offices, plus his reputation for ruffling feathers. Well, sure enough, she claims he shows up at her office. She explains that with the help of security and other staff members, she was able to make an escape. And according to Smith, Combs then called her the next day, and she says that's when he made the threat that he would, quote, see her dead in the trunk of a car, and also purportedly said, F you. Well, within 2 hours, and after calling her lawyers, she writes that Combs faxed over an apology. But it didn't quite end there, because soon after, Smith says a couple of servers had been stolen from the office. These were ones that housed the files for that particular issue. And she says a rumor went around that someone had let in movers to the building from Bad Boy. So, to talk about this, I am joined right now by criminal defense attorney Fred Perry, who's a friend of the show, hasn't been on in quite some time. I don't know, maybe he's been ignoring us. It's fine, it's fine. No, Fred, so good to see you. Thanks so much for coming down and talking about this. Such an interesting update. I mean, what do you make of it? And do you think it's going to factor in any way into this laundry list of accusations facing Sean Combs right now?
Great to see you, Jesse. Yeah, I mean, what jumps out to me right away is if this federal probe ends up in an indictment with certain charges that involve crimes of violence, whether they be, the sex trafficking that's been reported or any other crimes of violence, the prosecutor can reach back to 1998 and actually ask a judge to allow them to introduce evidence of a death threat from 1998, even though it's beyond the statute, even though it's never been charged. It's what's known as other crimes evidence that a jury can hear and make a decision based on whether or not they feel like there is a pattern in this guy's life of violence, death threats, shooting people, beating somebody up, a hallway video showing beating a girl up in the hallway. I mean, my first thought is this could come back to haunt him from 1998.
But isn't it also true they have to be careful about not just including anything, any bad allegation, because it could be improper character evidence, right? I mean, there has to be some sort of connection to whatever purported charges there are, assuming there are charges on the horizon, right? Because we wonder, I think a lot of people look at this and they say everything from the lawsuits, everything from the shooting in 1999 to anything that has come up in the past decades Will that make its way into a grand, massive federal case against him? But there are certain limits to what could be introduced at a trial, right?
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I'm not saying that this specific instance from 1998 would be part of an indictment. It's something totally separate. The government would file a motion to try and prove that there's a common plan, scheme, or design on behalf of Combs. And part of that is just a reign of terror, threatening people. I've been involved with cases where, if there's active sexual allegation charges currently going on, prosecutors have tried to introduce other instances of sexual misconduct from 25 years ago. We were involved in a case where there were 20 prior victims of a well-known celebrity that we tried a couple of years ago. And the government tried to introduce 20 or 22 other complainants, and we were successful in keeping most of that out of the case. But that's what he's got to be concerned about.
One of the things I always ask myself whenever we see a new lawsuit or a new allegation is, are people coming out now because they have a connection to the federal case? What do I mean by that? I mean, have they provided information to the government? I had a really interesting conversation recently where the idea was, some people, they might not realize that what they have to say is valuable to either an investigation or can make up a lawsuit. And a part of me always wonders, if we hear somebody come out with a lawsuit or we hear somebody come out with an allegation, are they coming out now because they may be cooperating with the government as a potential witness? What do you think about that?
It's certainly a possibility. And then you also have to look at the other issue as whether or not people now see him as someone who's wounded now. And he's got a focus for misconduct on him, whether it be on a civil issue or potential criminal matters. Maybe some people are, come out of the woodwork looking for an easy payday. So that cuts both ways. I mean, maybe they've spoken to prosecutors. Maybe they just say, hey, look, I was hanging around this guy 20 years ago. All I have to do is say X, Y, and Z, and that gets me in the game. It gets me in the tournament, and maybe it gets me a payday.
And you would also suggest that where we sit right now, after the world seeing that video that was published by CNN, where Combs is purportedly beating his ex-girlfriend. There was one thing before that where these were accusations and really harrowing accounts, but to watch that video for ourselves and Combs seemingly admitting that's him, don't know really where he would gone other than not respond to it, because I think it's very clear what that video looks like. It's a very clear video. It would be easier for somebody like Smith to come out now with an allegation of a threat against Diddy, for people to believe that now after seeing a video like that and to see these allegations against him than if she came out, 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, now he has shown who he is on video for the world to see. And, if she would have come out 5 years ago with this death threat allegation, maybe, people look at her kind of sideways saying, you're just trying to get out there and get paid. But now he's kind of shown who he is, or at least who he was. And I think that bolsters that complaint from 1998.
Does this affect the lawsuits against him? So we talked about the criminal case. Does this affect the lawsuits? And he's facing a number of them right now. They have similar themes of violence and sexual assault and racketeering and sex trafficking. Does it affect the lawsuits, this new claim about Vi Magazine?
It would be the same theory. If the issue before the court or the jury in the lawsuit is one of violence, and the plaintiff's lawyer can convince a judge that this allegation from 1998 is something that should be introduced into the case, then yeah, he's going to have to deal with it.
Does it put more pressure on him to try to settle this case or settle these cases?
I think it does. Who knows what he's going to do about it. It sounds like he's just kind of laying back and waiting to see how things develop. But it sounds like with this federal investigation, from the reports I'm reading, he's going to have more significant problems than, some civil lawsuits.
See, I just think about it because, if someone comes out with a lawsuit, you could play their bluff. All right, what evidence do you have against me? What do you really have? And then from his point of view, he sees the video come out. He sees this allegation come out. He sees lawsuits where people embed photos or screenshots. And a part of, I would imagine somebody in his position could say, I don't want to risk what else can come out during the course of this litigation, we should try to settle this. Now, of course, look what happened when this initially happened, right? He settles with Cassandra Ventura the day after she files the lawsuit, and then all these other lawsuits come out. So it's kind of a catch-22 about whether to settle lawsuits.
Yeah, you're right. It is a catch-22. And whatever information would come out in a civil lawsuit is going to be presented in front of a federal grand jury. So I don't think simply quickly settling a civil case is going to protect you from any fallout that may come from testimony that would have come in that case. And then ultimately it'll be presented in front of a grand jury for purposes of securing an indictment.
By the way, and just finalizing with the criminal defense standpoint, the idea is that potentially there are criminal charges on the horizon. We don't know for sure. But what do you think about what Combs and his team are doing now? So there's a lot of interesting things happening, right? He's been out and about in Miami, went on vacation, like river rafting. He deleted all of his Instagram after posting the apology video for Cassandra Ventura. I did multiple Sidebar episodes when I thought, legally speaking, it was a mistake for him to admit that that was him and issue that apology. But he's just waiting, living his life, doing his thing. Some people have wondered, why didn't he just hop on a jet, go to a country where there's no extradition? I was told that if he were to do that, he could be arrested immediately. So what do you make of what he's doing currently, and what do you think he's being advised from his legal counsel?
You know, whenever we've been involved in these situations with investigations kind of swirling and maybe we think things are coming imminently, I tell the client, you know, lay low, stay down, don't talk to people, don't do anything flashy, delete all your social media posts. And I agree with you, that was a mistake. Putting that apology out on Instagram. But there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, if there's an investigation that you can conduct from a defense perspective, you start doing that. Interview people, gather records, gather evidence, gather whatever you think would be important for a defense. And there may come a time when we want to go and sit down with a prosecutor and say, hey, look, this is what we have, compare it to what you're looking at. And maybe you're not going to charge this guy.
Yeah.
But, our first thoughts always are, kind of keep yourself out of the spotlight when you're a celebrity.
And just to wrap it up one more time, these are allegations. He hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been criminally charged. He hasn't been found liable, even in a civil context. But as I always say, we will wait and see what happens. Fred Perry, thanks so much for coming on, providing some context about what this new accusation means, and look forward to seeing you again. Thanks so much.
You got it, Jesse. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.